What's up everyone, Nethervvoid here with the final build video for the Self-Ignite Crit Burning Arrow Elementalist build that I had already shown you on my channel. I'm level 89 now, she's done, everything's great, really rocking it. And I'm going to show you in the background a couple of, basically some tier 11 stuff that I've been working on because I'm still working on my Atlas, as you can see here. It's not fully finished, so I haven't been working on bosses or anything like that. I just wanted to fill out my Atlas first. So you're seeing that now. And now let's talk about the build a lot. There's a bunch of extra information about this build that I'm not going to talk about. You can get a link in the video description to the actual spreadsheet with a bunch of build information and things like that. So basically what I use to kind of track my build. So really what I wanted to do is make a burning... Well, I really wanted to make just an archer. That's the next thing I want to do. I haven't played an archer for a long time. And I wanted to do... really, I wanted to do a lightning arrow archer, but that's been overdone. Everybody's doing that. It was boring, so I decided not to do it. So I did a burning arrow proliferate elementalist. So I thought that would be pretty cool. So I checked some stuff out. Not many people have been doing that. And really wanted to get as many links as I could for free. So I went for elementalist's free proliferation from Beacon of Ruin. I went for the free pierce gem from Lionized Vision. And I went for the free lesser multiple projectiles from Death's Opus. Now, also, really was checking out Reach of the Council. It's a really great bow. Obviously, everybody's using it. But when I did finally buy it with 5 or 6x, I stacked it up against Death's Opus, and the damage was just not as good. I was having to fire more times into packs. The burnt ignites were not as big. And so I switched it back out with Death's Opus because this is a crit build. So Death's Opus gets me 150% more multiplier just inherently from the bow itself. It was kind of a no-brainer at that point. So anyway, there's a big old explanation of why I built this character the way I did, why I'm not using Avatar Fire, why I went crit, which is really because I didn't want to... I was trying to do burn build, right? But I didn't want to have to go up against burn immune bosses. I wanted this build to be able to do any boss, so if you guys decide to do this build, you can kill anybody, right? You don't have to worry so much about, oh god, this boss is Ignite immune, and now it's going to take me 9 years to kill the boss. Being crit, I'm getting a lot of damage up front, and if I don't get the Ignite, it's not the end of the world. The Ignite does help kill bosses, because I can kite bosses. I can just hit them once, wait for the 4 or 6 seconds or whatever of Ignite damage, and then shoot the boss again, and then run around the circles trying not to get hit, right? So that's kind of the reason basically the build idea behind this build. I also have wanted to do a self-ignite build ever since I saw Moku's Embrace, which was when I first started playing the game. I thought, wow, that'd be so awesome to get like 40% extra attack speed and all these other things. So I went with Eye of Innocence to ignite myself, and then that kicks off Moku's Embrace bonuses. Also, there's a couple bonuses from Eye of Innocence, which gets me 2% extra leech, fire leech, which is really awesome. So in total, this build has 4% leech. It's really noticeable. It's really insanely badass. It's a great defensive mechanic. I didn't even think it would be that great, but it's awesome. So that's kind of what I did. I'm using Burning Arrow to get 50% convert physical to fire, and I'm using Signal Fire to convert the other 50%. Really wanted to get Avatar Fire and a Drill Neck, which would give me 100% more projectile damage, which would double dip, but couldn't do it for crit. Since this is a crit build, I had to go hard to the bottom and the right of the tree, which goes exactly the opposite of Avatar Fire, so couldn't pick it up. Now there's a new unique coming out, which is already actually out on a new amulet that will give you Avatar Fire. I think it's on an amulet. No, maybe it's a ring. I think it's a ring. If it's on a ring, I can switch out one Moku's and get Avatar Fire, which means I can switch out Signal Fire with Drill Neck, which is definitely what I would do. It's going to get you a lot more damage. It's going to be way better. And also, you get a lot more crit, so you don't have to pick up the crit nodes. That's great, too. Oh, no, you do have to, because I don't think Drill Neck gives you that much crit. Or Pierce. I get 100% Pierce with Lionized Vision and the tree, so that's great. That's what I want. So, that's kind of what I'm doing with this build. You can check it out if you want to learn more about it. The pros, we're just going to go over a few of them. Very nice damage. I really wanted a build that did really insane damage because I also wanted nice run speed. There's pretty good clear speed on this build. It's a little janky with only having 3 projectiles. You can get 5 by switching out slower projectiles with lesser multiple, but you lose a lot of damage doing that. So you can do it on the lower tier maps, but once you get into the higher tiers, it's going to slow your clear speed down too much. Just stick with this slower garage. Leech is instant with Valpack. That's because when I'm doing the self-ignite, I actually take 25 damage per creature that I ignite. So when you shoot and you pierce and you're hitting like 15 dudes, that's a lot of damage. So you're going to want Valpack to instantly leech back the damage you're doing and keep yourself up. If you don't have that, you're not going to be able to keep up. It's just, it doesn't work. That's pretty much the pros to this thing. Like I said, ignite really helps to kill bosses. You know, you can basically shoot, and most of the time you can dodge around, which is what you're going to want to do, because one of the cons is things pretty much a glass cannon. You only have 42 to 4,300 health, depending on where you are in the build, and so you just don't have a lot. You can't take that many shots. Let's just put it that way. It's also not very budget build. Eye of Innocence is fairly expensive. A couple of X, 3X, something like that. Signal Fire is about an X. Opus is about half of an X. And then Lionized Vision 6 Link is about 6X. A 5 Link is an X or a little bit less. So it's not really a cheap build. And also you're going to need really good rares to fill out all your resists. So really not a cheap build, not a good league starter. But it's a lot of fun. Like I said, I like the run speed. I'm having a great time with it. It's a lot of fun. There are definitely faster, clear speed builds out there. It's not a meta build. It's kind of a fun hipster build that not everybody's going to be doing, right? But also, it synergizes really well with a lot of the new uniques from the Breach League. So I really see a lot of alternate uniques that'll be great with this build. Definitely that ring I was talking about with Avatar Fire, and then the couple of Prolif bows that are coming out, which means you might not have to do Witch. You might be able to do Ranger and do some other cool things with Ranger. So that's kind of neat. Build does come into its own a little late, about level 80 plus, because we need a lot off the tree to make it really work well. I've got 3 passive trees set up, a level 51, a level 75, a level 95. Check the video description for that. There are links there. So the Ascendancy, what you're going to do is you're going to start out with Shaper to Desolation, because really we want to go for Beacon of Ruin like immediately. You want to get that Prolif going, so when you hit it, when you get a nice burn, it proliferates the pack. You only have 3 projectiles, so the whole point is to hit them as hard as you can and spread that burn out amongst all that pack, right? Now, you're not going to be able to spread it to the whole pack with just 3 proj, but since I can fire so quickly with Moku's Embrace, I can just basically machine gun these guys down, so it's not that big a deal. So first you're going to get Shaper Desolation, helps out a little bit. It's going to help you with Ignite and Shocking and different things, but really you're going after Beacon of Ruin with your Cruel Ascendancy there. Then you're going to pick up Lead You to the Primordial with Merciless to get 2 Golems and a lot more crit and accuracy. It's going to help out a lot. And a lot of extra damage from your Fire Golem. So you're going to get a Fire Golem and an Ice Golem. So you're going to have a lot of extra fire damage because it's Fizz to Fire, right? Added Fizz to Fire. A lot of extra accuracy, which is going to help a lot. A lot of extra crit, which is also going to help a lot. Lastly, you're going to get Paragon of Calamity, because you're going to be igniting yourself off of a hit very often, pretty much all the time. That's going to give you 40% increased damage all the time of fire. That's going to double dip, because Ignite double dips off projectile damage, fire damage, elemental damage, and just straight up regular damage, right? So if you can get any of those, you're not only going to scale your initial hit, but you're going to scale the resulting Ignite, okay? So you're going to want to pick that up as much as possible. Because we're going crit, and we need accuracy and those kind of things, the tree, we don't pick up a lot of that. But where we do pick it up from is Moku's Embrace. Eye of Innocence picks up a lot of it for us. And then our Ascendancy gets us a lot of extra cool fire damage and stuff like that. So that's how you're going to pick it up and go with Paragon of Calamity last for the Uber. I'm not very good at the lab, so I don't have it yet. I'm still working on my Uber lab. Get it as soon as you can. Skill gems, we're going to go over that really quickly. Let's look at that. I'm just standing around right here. Let's look at what we got here. Burning Arrow, obviously. Going to want to start out with a quality 20 gem if you can, because that's going to get you that 60% increased ignite duration on enemies. That is really key, especially for boss fights. Then I'm going to go weapon elemental damage. Again, I'm mainly trying to scale the initial hit because I'm not worried about the burn so much. I'm going to scale that thing as high as possible. By doing that, I indirectly scale my burn hit because my ignite, because it's 80% of your initial hit, right? Over 4 seconds. So by getting that initial hit as high as possible, I'm already scaling the ignite. I just don't double dip. So 59% more weapon elemental damage is awesome. If you can get the 20% quality immediately off the bat, you're going to get 10% more fire damage. That will double dip. Next, I would go for physical projectile attack damage. Another more multiplier. I'm trying to get as many more multipliers as possible here. Again, you're going to get increased physical damage. That will not double dip off your quality. Doesn't really matter. And then I'm going to go with increased critical strike support, because again, this crit build, really what we're going for is that plus to the base crit was 1.9%. I think, yeah, 1.9 is as high as you get. And then we're going for the increased critical strike chance, because it's really hard to get. You can't get 95% on this build. I get up to 78. I'm probably going to get up to about 80% with all my charges. Really nice crit percent chance, in my opinion. So you really need that to make this a quote-unquote crit build, right? Because we're only getting 4 power charges. The next thing we're going to do is slower proj. That's going to do the double dip with 29% more proj damage right there. We're going to scale that with the more damage up front, and we're going to scale the ignite with more damage on the back end. Don't really notice the 48% less projectile speed. It's not that big of a deal. Then lastly, we're going to go with, right now I have an item quantity in there because I don't usually need my added fire damage. Let's switch those out so I can show you what that does though when we go for, there's my lesser multiple in case I'm doing a lower map. But when we go, when I go show you the charges, deal damage, and all that stuff, we're gonna run that sucker. So that's the last link I would go for. Again, it does not scale the ignite damage, but you gain 43% of physical damage as extra fire damage right up front. And again, the quality is increased fire damage. That does double dip. So it's a great gem. You could use increased or less duration. It doesn't affect the ignite duration, and it gives you 19% more damage, which will double dip. But I found that just gaining it up front is about the same amount of damage. It's actually possibly a little more, since the quality on the less duration doesn't really help. So to me, the added fire damage is better. And really, it was really hard to get 3 greens on the lionized vision because it is a strength-based unique. So it's very hard to get off-color slots in here, okay? So getting 4 was already pretty tough. It's like 500 chromes or something like that. So that is pretty much that gem setup. Let's go over here. We got Val Lightning Trap, Val Haste, Val Grace, and then we got increased duration, so I can pop all those off on a boss fight and basically burn that boss down as fast as possible. More casting damage taken on a more call setup, and I've got an Enduring Cry in here. Since I am taking Val Pact, I don't have any regen, so the regen doesn't really help. This is really just to get some extra fizz mitigation with the endurance charges. I pop that every once in a while. I don't pop it that often. Then I'm getting Herald of Ash, Assassin's Mark off of Blasphemy here. The radius is not very good. I don't pick up any radius passives, so it's not very good, but it's great if you get up close, get a lot of charges built up. But you can run this build without charges. It's just going to do a lot more damage, obviously, with the charges. Arctic Armor is going to help a lot. It's our only defensive aura, and you're going to be standing around sometimes with, generally with archers, you stand around firing, right? Remember, it's only active, the less physical and fire damage is only active when you're standing in place. But it also does help kite because it leaves a trail of chilled ground, and the bosses will run over that, the mobs will run over that and get chilled, so it does help a little bit there as well. And then I've got Mirror and Blink Arrow with faster attacks. You could probably set this up with increased duration if you want those guys to hang around more. They're pretty good at soaking up a little bit of damage, and they're also okay at putting out a bit of damage. I usually use those in boss fights, or when I, obviously Blink Arrow or Mirror Arrows for getting out of a situation right here. And then I've got Summon Fire Golem and Ice Golem with minion life support for my golems. That's pretty much it. So those are the gems. Again, you can see all that stuff with links to those gems in the build guide. Let's go over gear. I've got Lionized Vision on my chest. That gives me basically a 9 link. I have a 9 link right now. I've got all 6 of those links. Plus I've got the Pierce gem. Level 15 is pretty high, gets you a nice another more multiplier for projectile damage. Really nice, scales the initial hit and the burn again. And I've got LMP off of Death's Opus here. Again, really awesome. And I don't have the less damage multiplier from LMP, so that's nice. And I also have the Like I talked about before, if you're going into Beacon of Ruin, that gives you a free elemental proliferation gem, again without the less damage multiplier. The radius is a little bit smaller at 12 instead of 16, but I didn't see any super huge noticeable difference. So that's what I'm using for those two uniques. This is a very unique heavy build, which means the rares are going to have to pick up all of your resists. Obviously, a couple Moku's Embrace Rings. You want to pick up 10% chance to ignite is a variable, so you want to make sure you get the 10s, because that's going to help a lot. Make sure that you can ignite very, very reliably. And then the Eye of Innocence, like we talked about. Again, you're getting increased damage while ignited. That's all damage, so that's great. And then the Fire Leech really helps a lot. Again, chance to ignite, another 10% there. And I think that, oh no, Signal Fire, sorry about that. The Quiver is Signal Fire. That's where I convert the other 50% of my physical to fire, so this is an all fire build. And you get another 32% of physical damage as fire damage. That helps a lot as well. Increased attack speed, obviously that's awesome. And for, let's see, what are we talking about next? Flasks, a couple life flasks. You're going to go with freeze, obviously immune to freeze, immune to bleed. And then you're going to get Chemist's Basalt Flask Warding. This is for curses. But also, the physical damage reduction really helps a lot, especially in boss fights. At Ziri's Promise, extra DPS and also some extra leech, obviously. And then you're going to also have the Surgeon's Silver Flask of Adrenaline. What this does, I use this as a double dipper here, kind of. I'm getting basically an offensive flask with Onslaught, because not only do I get 20% run speed, but I also get 20% attack speed. But I'm also getting an Adrenaline, so I use this as a run speed flask when I need that. You could also get a Dying Sun. That would really help out a lot. It gives you +2 projectiles so that you can clear packs with 5 projectiles. It's going to be pretty much up all the time, so you can use that to clear packs until you get to the boss. It's just 2 or 3x, so I didn't put one in this build, but it would really work. I really think it would be a good idea. What would I take out to put that in? Probably the Ziri's Promise, or I would probably take out a Life Flask or something. Really, again, it's Glass Cannon, right? You want to pop as much deeps as possible to clear. And when you're clearing, the only time you're really going to be in danger with this build is during the boss fight. So when you're just clearing trash, 1 flask is going to be plenty. I'd probably keep the bleed flask. Jewels, I've got a couple jewel slots. And right now I have them filled up with, again, what you're going to want is fire damage, projectile damage, and you're going to want damage, or you're going to want, what did I say what the other one was? Elemental damage. I don't think you can get that on a jewel. So you got fire damage, projectile damage, and just straight up damage. Area damage will help when you proliferate, I do believe, but I'm not positive on that. Down here I've got another gem that's increased physical damage that only helps on the initial hit. Got the fire damage for double dipping, and then the projectile damage again for another double dip. You're going to get a lot of double dips out of your gems. Another gem I like to use, which I don't think I have on me. No, I don't, so let's go to my stash and look at it real quick. I use Hot-Footed a lot, which is 15% increased movement speed while ignited. When I'm on lower tier maps and I don't need as much damage, it is very noticeable when I'm clearing. My clear speed goes up a lot because I get a lot of extra run speed running in between packs. I'm getting up to 60 or 70% run speed when all this stuff's activated and I'm just trucking around. Some people were saying to use Matcher of Flames. It adds 5 to 10 fire damage. Well, it's actually 5 to 12, but I have a 5 to 10 version. Attack damage per buff on you. But only these with green borders are considered buffs, so I only have 4 right now. If you have 5 or 6, it can be the equivalent of a damage jewel, but to me, it's not as good. Just get a damage jewel and you'll outdamage anything else. Again, this does not scale the ignite, and the damage gems will because they double dip, so to me, they're better. That's pretty much the whole build. Bandits, you're going to go normal, which is 40% more life, or 40 more life. Cruel, you're going to get Kraden for 8% more attack speed. Merciless, get Alira for another power charge, which gets you 4. And then Auras, we already talked about Assassin's Mark, Arctic Armor, Herald of Ash. Okay, I'm going to try to splice this in. I wanted to show you the DPS, though, and I forgot to do that. So just sitting outside here with no charges or anything, I've got 50,000 deeps. Okay, 50,000, pretty much exactly. So let me come down here and get some charges and see what I can get up to, which is obviously Dried Lake, really simple stuff. Let me pop this guy. So we got 3 charges. I'm not ignited either. There, 4 charges ignited. I got 83,000. Let's pop Flasks, 110,000 deeps. Now I'm gonna need to pop Flasks and have all that other crap. Basically, when I pop all my boosts, basically just Val Haste, I get up to like 130, 140,000 deeps when I'm fighting a boss. And that's good. That's what I wanted to do, so success. I wanted a build that had just massive amounts of DPS, so you could just, you know, clear speed is king, and I agree with that. So that's really what I wanted to do with this build. Some people said I would not be able to achieve that, and achieved. You just saw it. So that's it. Let's go back to the regular video. And that's pretty much it. Check the video description for a little bit more in depth on the build guide. Tell me what you think of the video description. I've got research in there as well, research links that I used to figure this whole thing out. I've also got a bunch of tooltip screenshots in there and stuff in the build guide. Pretty awesome and pretty fun. I had a lot of fun with this character. I think the only thing I would do different is I would buy pre-qualitied gems. They're usually like about a half-X'd or less each. Totally worth it. I still am running level 19 gems, and when I get to 20, I'm going to have to swap these out, right, to get the quality versions. Sucks. I don't want to re-level my gems. So start off with quality gems if you can. If you're in standard, you can. If you're starting a new league, you're not going to be able to. If you do this as a second or third build in a league, you definitely probably will be able to. It's going to be a little more expensive probably. In my opinion, worth it. Let me know what you think of in the video, in the comment section, I mean. Like, favorite, comment if you did like it. I always say that. There's no such thing as favoriting anymore. I've been around YouTube a long time. But let me know what you think about this build. Hope you love it. And I will be coming out with a video about my new build, my Blade Flurry build that I'm doing in hardcore. Breach, having a lot of fun with that build as well. Thinking about changing it up a little bit. It's definitely not set in stone, but I want to show it to you. And that should be coming up in maybe a couple of 3 days. But as always, everyone, stay frosty.
Too much clutter.